Welcome, I am your anchor Mia, for the Daily Scrum News, and we thank you for joining us on this beautiful Thursday afternoon. Yesterday, millions of Canadians watched the Prime Minister and the Governor-General address the nation with the reading of the throne speech.
To overcome a pandemic requires the work and resolve of every order of government, of every community, and of every one of us. We don't decide when hardship comes, but here in Canada, we have decided how we wanted to address it. We have adapted in remarkable ways.
The Liberal government promised unprecedented support for Canadians in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic, while addressing Indigenous issues and keeping the economy going. The Governor-General's speech from the Red Chamber offered hope and provided a clear outline of how the government plans to lead Canadians through the pandemic. The economic impact of COVID-19 on Canadians has already been worse than the 2008 financial crisis. These consequences will not be short-lived, said Governor-General Julie Payette. Unlike the United States, the Canadian government has always been upfront with Canadians on the severity of the COVID-19 pandemic, and has relied upon the advice of the country's top scientists to help guide their decisions when it comes to keeping Canadians safe.
We're on the brink of a fall that could be much worse than the spring. I know this isn't the news that any of us wanted to hear. And we can't change today's numbers or even tomorrow's. Those were already decided by what we did or didn't do 2 weeks ago. But what we can change is where we are in October and into the winter. It's all too likely we won't be gathering for Thanksgiving, but we still have a shot at Christmas.
Canadians have largely approved of the government's handling of the pandemic and its national COVID-19 strategy.
I think we've done extremely well. I think we've at least an A for the work that's been done because, we have very low case counts so far. Not many people have died. We have lost a number of people, but not as many as other places. And Canada seems to be doing fairly well. Canadians have also benefited from investments for helping to try and keep jobs and create jobs and really trying to keep people from having bankruptcy. So it's been quite, it's pretty, compared to other places, we've done quite well, and Trudeau's done extremely well.
It was widely assumed under no set of circumstances that the newly minted leader of the Conservative Party, Erin O'Toole, would ever support any throne speech from a Liberal government.
There are a number of things that we're concerned with in regards to how the Prime Minister and this government have addressed the pandemic. We believe that many of the decisions that they've made have been wrong.
Bloc Québécois leader Yves-François Blanchet has never garnered support from the country outside of Quebec. He is seen by many as to only having the best interest of Quebec and not that of all Canadians. Both the Conservatives and the Bloc have signaled they plan to vote against the throne speech with a vote of no confidence, to bring down the Liberal government and trigger an early election. The leader of the third opposition, NDP's Jagmeet Singh, has been silent as to how his government plans to vote later on today. He has given a list of demands that must be met by the Trudeau administration or face sending Canadians to the polls in the middle of the pandemic. When asked by a reporter if the NDP have the finances to support an early election, he said yes. In the previous election, NDP fundraising level was at a 17-year low, which resulted in the party taking out a substantial mortgage on Jack Layton Place to finance their campaign. There has been wide condemnation by the opposition parties in the manner the federal government has handled the pandemic. And one of the biggest issues is debt level. All three leaders of Canada's opposition parties have made it known to Canadians they are unhappy with the increased debt from the pandemic by the federal government. Yet, they all are calling for major financial stimulus into the economy. Singh wants universal pharmacare, Blanchet wants billions more in transfer payments to Quebec, and O'Toole wants shovel-ready jobs for Western provinces. No one could have predicted the pandemic, and when you consider how other countries have handled it, Canadians are in a much better position for economic recovery, unlike its neighbor to the south. Canadians are mighty, we are resilient, kind, and we will always be there to help each other. Not only will we get through the pandemic, we will come out of it stronger. Until we meet again, this is your anchor Mia, signing off for the Daily Scrum News.